You good? Okay, I'm Anthony, and I am going to attempt to film the whole process of all the spaghetti sauce and meatballs. And I'm not doing brajol this time, but I am going to do sausage and pork chops and meatballs. And this is brought to you by spaghettisauceandmeatballs.com. Got that? Mm-hmm. Okay, my two boys are going to help me film this process. Okay, over here we have a nice pot. Make sure you get a big pot that has a nice thick bottom. See that thick bottom right there?
Yep.
Very important because you can cook really slow. Okay. I've already put some olive oil in here. You want to just cover the bottom with olive oil. Okay, so over here, come closer. Okay, we have the cookie sheet that I like to put the meatballs on while I'm waiting to brown them. Some good Italian sausage. Use a mild. Salt pork. Here you see this is called pork fatback. It has many names. Basically, it's just fat from a pig. Good stuff. You need this for the meatballs. 1 pound of ground meat. It's important that you get 80% lean, or sometimes you'll see 80-20. You want, because that means it has 20% fat in here, which you want the fat. You don't want too lean. Pork chops. You want the one with the bone in it. It's important. This is a little bigger than I like to get. I'll probably cut this into smaller pieces, throw in the sauce. A nice bowl to do your meatballs. We have breadcrumbs, which I like to get the Italian style breadcrumbs for the meatballs. Salt, pepper, Parmesan, basil, a little bit of garlic powder, even though I'm using real garlic. And you need some oregano leaves. This here is, you need a little mug like this because you're going to start pulling out some oil after the sauce has been cooking a really long time. Onion for the sauce. These 3 pieces of garlic will be for the meatballs, and this will be for the sauce. The bread, the egg, parsley is for the meatball, and I also put some of the parsley in the sauce itself. And I'll be adding this and this and this into the sauce as we go. And red wine, I don't have that here, but I will. It doesn't matter what kind. I'll be using this because I have it lying around. This is a Shiraz. It's kind of a mild red. I like to use a Cabernet cooking, but this will do just fine. Okay, and I'm using 4 of these. Usually I use 2 larger cans of sauce, but if you don't have can't find a larger, just use 2 small. And I like to use 2 diced and 1 minced, but I couldn't find that, so I got 3 diced. This still works. And then you got 1 paste. It's basically 1 paste for each 2 cans of sauce here, and you got your 3 diced. And I'll explain that as we go. And that's it for now. See you later. We have the garlic chopped up. This is the garlic just for the sauce. I still have garlic over here I'm going to use for the meatballs. So what I like to do, back up. Over here, I have olive oil in the pan already. So I take the garlic and put it into the olive oil. Then what I want to do is let that basically soak and marinate in the olive oil. I'm going to let it just sit there like this. So I'll let this sit for a while I'm making the meatball mix. Okay. Alright, so now we still have the garlic soaking in the olive oil. I have a pan of water here, almost boiling. I have my sausage here. Okay, you want to poke some holes in the sausage. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and boil these. This is what makes them really tender in the sauce. You boil them first for about 15-20 minutes. What you're going to do is you're going to keep them in the pan until all this water totally evaporates. And then you'll actually brown them in the same pan there for a little longer. And what we're going to do is we're going to let these cook for probably like about 5 minutes. Flip them, put a couple more holes in them, let them cook some more. We're just going to let those cook. Okay, come over here. While those are cooking, got the meatballs here. Over here I have the cans all ready to go. I got the paste, diced tomatoes, and the sauce. Okay, now what I'm going to put in here, you have your 1 pound of ground meat. This is like 1.2 pounds or something. It doesn't matter. For all the exact measurements of what I'm doing here, just go to spaghettisauceandmeatballs.com. Okay, I'm just going to do this how I normally do it. Okay, I'm going to add some parsley. I need about that much parsley, and I'm going to need an egg, 1 egg in there. Okay, and then take a piece of bread here and I'm going to soak it with water and squeeze it really tight and I'm going to put it in here. Okay, you like that. Okay, so now over here your bread becomes like a glue. Okay, it's really like wet dough, and that's going to help your meatballs stick together. And it's real important that you use wheat bread, whole wheat bread.
Write that down.
It's just because my grandmother did it, and that's how you do it. And my son says write that down. Okay. All right, so you get that in there. And I like to use some Italian breadcrumbs, about that much. And you're gonna want to put some basil in there. I have to crush that basil up pretty good here. And see, I got parsley in there. I'm gonna need garlic. This is about 3 medium-sized cloves. There may have been some larger ones in there, I don't know. Okay, so we get the garlic in there. You're gonna want some Parmesan cheese. You're gonna want about that much. What we'll do is we'll start with this, and then this will be your base, and you're gonna add as you go. Sometimes you have to add more breadcrumbs. Sometimes you have to add more Parmesan. You don't want too much Parmesan though, because it starts to melt and get kind of weird. Alright, so this is a little wet right here. Not too wet, but you want to work with it for a while. I should get my thumbs in there like this. You want to mix in the bread. You want to get that bread in there really good. Okay, and one thing I didn't add, which I'm going to add in a minute, is crushed black pepper. Fresh ground pepper. If you want spicy meatballs, all you have to do is add a little bit of red crushed pepper. That'll give you all the zing you want. Okay, so that needs right now. This is, if you look at it here, this is it's a little too wet. Okay, if you try to make a meatball right now, you could, but it's a little too loose. So we're going to add a little bit more to that to make it work out better. Okay, so what we're going to want to do here is add a little bit more breadcrumbs. Just a little bit more Parmesan. And we're going to add some black pepper. About that much. Okay? Alright, now we're going to go ahead and mix it some more. And this is feeling pretty good here. Take a film on that sausage real quick. The sausage are boiling away. We're going to probably flip them in a minute. Alright, come back over here. Alright, this is feeling a lot better. Because now it feels a little sticky right here. I'm going to give this a practice. If you take this here, what I do is I start like almost flat. And squeeze it really tight. And as I'm squeezing it, I go lighter and lighter until I end up with a ball. And when I'm done, I'll do a check on that. It's a pretty good consistency. You don't want it totally bouncing back, but you want it where it's too close, too close. You want it where it's soft like that. So that'll be a good meatball. That right there is a good consistency. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and roll these and we'll be back. Here now, working on I got the meatballs over here, all rolled up, ready to go. I have the sausage cooking. That water still has to boil down until the water is almost gone. Okay, and then this is still soaking. I have the pork chops ready to brown next. I have the salt pork here all chopped up, ready to go. Salt pork is basically just chopped up pork fat, but it's salt pork. When you open it up, you'll see the salt all over it. Okay, and then I have some parsley I'm going to be using in the sauce. Onions I will saute with the garlic when I'm ready to start all this here. But I wanted to get the sausages here. These take a long time to cook when you start. So this is the first thing I do. When those are done, I'll have those browned and off to the side, and then I'll go ahead and put some salt pork in the pan. And I get the nice salt pork grease in there, then I'll start browning the pork chops and the meatballs. And that's it for now. We have the onions and the garlic and the olive oil simmering. You don't want this to get too hot. Right now I have it on 3 on the electric stove. I hate electric, by the way. I wish I had gas. Gas is much better. But this here, you'll see they start to get little bubbles around the garlic and the onions. That's about when it's ready to start adding stuff to this here. Okay, back up a little bit. I want to show you over here. I have the meatballs ready and I have the sausage browned and ready to go. I went ahead and cleaned my pan over here to get a new pan fresh when I'm going to go ahead and start doing my salt pork, my meatballs, and my pork chops. Okay, so in here, when you have this going and it's simmering, you're going to add some basil. I put some in my hand, and I usually go ahead and just grind that up pretty good here. Get that in there. And then I want some oregano. And I put just a little bit of garlic. That's getting a little too hot. I'm going to make that even lower, number 2. Okay, and I got some garlic powder. Not garlic salt, garlic powder. Okay, and then one thing I don't have in here, that is this thing right here, which is Tony's Satchers, or I don't know how you say that. Anyway, it's Creole seasoning. I just put that in there to get a little bit of spiciness to it. Not that much. Okay, I'm going to mix that up a little bit here. Alright, and then we're going to add our paste. Okay. This one here, you're going to want to spoon it out. It's hard to get it all out, so what you want to do is slowly work your way around it. Okay, and then you're going to fill this up with water and smush it around pretty good. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and mix this. Get all the paste out of the can. Get in there. And we're going to mix that up. I'm going to get this a little hotter. That turned down a little too much. So you're going to want to cook this until the paste gets liquidy. Hotter. Okay, and then we're going to want to add black pepper. And we're going to want a little bit of salt in here. This is why I don't like electric, because you don't get instant heat. It got too low, now I'm waiting for it to get high again. It's going to take a little bit. Okay, so we're going to get this heated up a bit, and then we're going to add the diced tomato in, put some more spices, and let this get hot. Okay. So I'll be back. Okay, so this here is the roux that I've been working on. I've added 2 more cans of diced tomatoes, I added 1 more can of paste, and I've added in another palm full of, like a tablespoon of basil and about a teaspoon of oregano. And I'm mixing this up really good, and I'm going to let it cook for a while so it all simmers down. I'll let this simmer for, I don't know, a good 5 minutes or so until this gets mixed very well. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start browning the meatballs.